Okay, so the drama between Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer, and Lou Elizondo is not over. This thing will not end. I don't know what the beef is between these two, but it is going on, so let's dive into it. But before I get too far, please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and as I'm going through it, please comment below and let me know what you think. Okay, let's dive into the story. It appears that Dr. Stephen Greer is once more smearing Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon and the TTSA team. And this time he is dragging his lawyer or former lawyer, Danny Sheehan, into the mix. Now, Danny, if you don't know, is now Lou's lawyer, and he is the one working with Lou and getting these IG inspections and evaluations done at the Pentagon. This is where the Pentagon had been smearing Lou as well, and they had been stymieing the efforts of the pro-disclosure faction. And so Lou triggered up to 3 different investigations or evaluations from the IG into those nefarious actions of the shadowy cabal that is suppressing information in UFO related matters in the Pentagon. And Danny Sheehan was the lawyer overseeing that. So Danny Sheehan has become a very important, even central figure in the current UFO drama unfolding before our eyes. So of course Stephen Greer had to drag Danny into it. And here is what Danny Sheehan had to say about Stephen Greer's latest effort to smear Lou Elizondo and the gang. Okay, this is from Danny Sheehan's Facebook page. I'll provide a link to that so you can read his full official statement. On April 24th of this year, in my capacity as the 2001 General Counsel to the May 10th, 2001 Disclosure Project event at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., I attended in Scottsdale, Arizona, the 20th anniversary gathering of many of the principals who organized that 2001 event. At that time, I granted an interview reflecting on the progress that I believed had been made since 2001 in bringing forward the cause of getting our American public and our American policymakers to take seriously the fact that UFOs are real, and that the most probable origin of many of these UFOs is indeed some extraterrestrial planet, very likely from elsewhere in our own Milky Way galaxy. During that interview, I was asked if I believed that there existed some extra-constitutional group of people who possessed a substantial amount of information about these UFOs and about the likelihood that the origin of many of these UFOs was extraterrestrial. By the way, I just have to comment on that phrasing, extra constitutional group. I think that is a really interesting way to describe the Zodiac group or the MJ-12 group, breakaway group, whatever you want to call them, the government people that are dealing with the UFO issue and are suppressing it to everybody else. The extra constitutional group. It's a kind of a mouthful, but it's a good way of describing it. Okay, reading on, this is Danny Sheehan's statement. I responded by providing a lengthy explanation of why I believed there has been and still presently is indeed such an extra constitutional group restricting access to this knowledge. And I explained further that I suspected that it was likely that members of this same group were responsible for secreting other important information and activities from our American people and from our democratically elected congressional and executive branch officials. Unfortunately, this portion of my interview was extracted from what I understood to have been a 20th anniversary documentary about the 2001 disclosure event, and it was inserted into a documentary film dedicated to promulgating what I expressly stated in that interview was, in my judgment, an incorrect theory on the part of Dr. Stephen Greer with which I most emphatically disagreed. He is disavowing Stephen Greer's crazy theories. Moreover, that portion of my 20th anniversary interview in which I criticized what I believed to be an unconstitutional cabal was spliced into the midst of a later recorded interview of Dr. Greer in which Greer was aggressively attacking Mr. Lou Elizondo, the former director of the entirely constitutional, congressionally authorized Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, whom I happen to legally represent, in attacking Mr. Chris Mellon, the formerly entirely constitutionally authorized Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence for both President Clinton and President George W. Bush. Chris Mellon being a man whom I personally greatly respect for the courage he has displayed in joining with my client Lou Elizondo to move forward the strategic objective of revealing government information authoritatively verifying that a significant percentage of the reliably reported sightings of UFOs over the past decades excuse me, are in fact real physical vehicles, and B, that the most likely origin of these real UFOs is extraterrestrial. Okay, I'm not going to read the rest of it, but I will provide a link and you can read it for yourself if you'd like. But basically, Danny Sheehan is distancing himself from Stephen Greer, who apparently used Danny's comments to bolster his own insane theories about ATIP and TTSA all being a psyop and, the threat narrative nonsense that he keeps on trotting out. Why Stephen Greer? How could this possibly be a threat narrative, a fake threat narrative, if they won't even admit these things are real? It doesn't even make sense for this to be some sort of government threat narrative. That whole idea has been around forever. It originally wasn't even about aliens. Anyway, it's a whole thing. It's all a bunch of disinfo and nonsense because Stephen Greer has a huge ego and he wants to be the leader of the disclosure effort. And he is insane with jealousy that Lou Elizondo and the others have taken the lead on that. Way to speak out, Danny Sheehan. I really appreciate that. He is coming forward two-fisted, guns blazing. He's out for blood. Not really, but he is really out to prove a point that he is no longer Stephen Greer's creature, that he is his own man, and he respects Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon, and he is not against them or speaking out against them. He is not aligning himself with Stephen Greer or the Stephen Greer faction. This is a smart position for Danny Sheehan to take. First of all, because he is Lou Elizondo's lawyer, and two, because taking sides on this particular issue is tricky, and especially taking a side that is provably false, like Stephen Greer's side. That would be a mistake. Danny Sheehan is far too smart to take up the side of an obvious lost cause. That is what I perceive Dr. Stephen Greer's efforts to be. If you disagree, that's fine. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Anyway, so I really appreciate Danny Sheehan's efforts to distance himself from Dr. Stephen Greer, who, while at one point a great asset to the UFO community and the pro-disclosure effort, is now a huge liability. His ego is insane. I think it has driven him insane. He, is the one who popularized CE5. He organized UFO summits where people would come out, high-ranking people would come out and talk about their own UFO experiences, giving the subject a much greater validity in the public eye. It really helped mainstream the whole UFO disclosure effort. And I really respect that. I really appreciate it. It really pains me to think negatively of Stephen Greer, but he has done that to himself. And I think it is wise for Danny Sheehan to put as much distance between him and Stephen Greer as possible. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and if you do, the bell next to it to be notified of future videos. And please comment below. Let me know what you think about all this drama. Until next time, Cosmic Road out.